Hello students, Namaste, how are you all? Hope all of you are well. Today we are going to discuss class 8 science chapter number 5 coal and petroleum. In the previous video I had described you about the fuels and the types of fuels and the characteristics of a good fuel. Can you tell me what were the types of fuel, solid fuel, gaseous fuels, liquid fuels, and what are the availability and non-availability? Means I have talked about the natural resources, exhaustible and inexhaustible natural resources, right, which can be exhausted, and I had also described you about the human activities by which the natural resources can't be exhausted, just like sunlight and air. They are inexhaustible natural resources and which can be exhausted like coal and petroleum. So first of all, as I had told you about the fuels can be solid also, liquid also, and gaseous also. The physical states of the fuels can be solid, liquid, and gas. The origin of the fuels like fossil fuels and non-fossil fuels. Availability like renewable and non-renewable. The main thing was characteristics of a good fuel. When we specially wants to become like someone, we just say that this person is ideal to me, like Swami Vivekananda, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. Similarly, there are some characteristics of a good fuel. Which type of fuel can be known as an ideal fuel, right? So first of all, we should talk about the ignition temperature. The ignition temperature of the fuel should be neither too low nor too high. It is the too low, the fuel will be dangerous to store and transport because it can catch fire at the low temperature, and if it is too high, the large amount of energy will have to be supplied to ignite the fuel. Means the first thing about is ignition temperature. If we talk about the characteristics of a good fuel, if anybody will talk about what should be there in the characteristics of the good fuel, then you must say ignition temperature. What is ignition temperature? The minimum temperature at which any substance starts burning. Okay. So here the ignition temperature should be moderate. It should neither be too high nor be too low, because if it will be very high, then we have to collect lots of ignition temperature to burn it, and if it will be too low, it can burn easily, it can catch fire easily at any temperature. The second point, if I talk about after the ignition temperature, then I talk about calorific value. What is calorific value? The amount of heat produced when 1 kilogram of material is burned completely is called that material's calorific value. A small amount of fuel should release a large amount of energy when burned. In the other words, the fuel should have a high calorific value. Calorific value. Calorific value. What do you mean by calorific value? Means 1 kg substance, when it burns completely, after burning that substance, whatever the amount of heat they are producing, whatever the amount of energy they are producing, that is called calorific value of that substance. So if 1 kilogram of any fuel is burning, they must give more and more energy, they must give high calorific value. But if we talk about the cost, it should be cheap in rate. It should not be so costly, it should be cheap in rate. Cost should be cheap in rate. It should not be very high, just like a gold rate. It should be cheap in rate. The third property of characteristics of good fuel is cost. Fourth way, it should be safe to store, handle, and transport. Means if we talk about the storage, so it should be safe. Storage should be safe. Means it can be handled easily from one place to another place without any. It should not be so much big. It should neither be so too small, but it should have a good storage. It should be safe, that we can handle that substance from one substance to another substance. And the last one, it should not release any byproduct. Byproduct means, as for example, I am talking about all these things. It should not release byproduct. Byproduct should not be released. Got it? See, first of all, if I talk about, just suppose the wood, okay, wood blocks here, there is a wood blocks and wood blocks. If in the olden days we were having chulha, have you ever seen chulha in the village? You may have or might have seen, I don't know. But in the olden days, the peoples were putting and cooking on the chulhas only that time. So you will see to burn this we require kerosene oil, then we put a matchstick, then they start burning, right? Before that it means its ignition temperature is too high. Second thing, calorific value. After putting this, the amount of heat, yeah, it is good. Calorific value is good. The amount of heat or energy is released in a good amount. But if we talk about the cost of wood, it is not so cheap in rate, it is high. If you go and buy 1 kilogram of wood blocks, you'll understand you have to pay 40 rupees or 50 rupees. And where you will store this wood in your, which storage house, if you are having a store room, how you will store this wood, you have to again take back. Means it is not very good if you talk about. And after burning, it produces a byproduct. You will see on the vessels black color ash is there, so that is a bad byproduct. So after getting all these things, so wood is not a good fuel. But if we talk about the LPG, liquefied petroleum gas, have you heard this word? You may have heard about GG also, Gujarat gas, right? This gas pipeline is now there in Gujarat. So, but if we talk about the LPG, there is one cylinder of 14.5 liters. In that cylinder, you can take it, you can handle this cylinder easily. You can burn with the help of matchstick. No need to put kerosene oil. So the ignition temperature is moderate, neither too high nor too low. Second thing, calorific value. It gives good amount of heat. So easily boiled rice can be cooked in 5 to 10 minutes, and it is not so high, it is cheap in rate also. In the 600 rupees you are getting 15 liters of LPG. It is storage, yeah, you can fix at one point. It's storage also, easily it can be. Nowadays government or that LPG persons are just coming at a home to give the cylinders. It is very good to storage, it is safe to storage, and it does not release any byproduct also. It does not give black color ash also to the vessel. So these are all the characteristics LPG is having. So you can consider that LPG is a good fuel. What is LPG? LPG is a good fuel. Since neither any of the fuel is ideal, but we can say good. See, to become an ideal person or ideal teacher, we have to face many problems. Ideal teacher or ideal student, if I talk about ideal student, what are the rules of students if we talk about the ideal student? I'm just telling you, ideal student means the student which who must not feel tired at any time. First thing. Second thing, he must wake up early in the morning at 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock. After taking a bath or becoming fresh, he must do worship, and after worshipping he must go to school. He should obey all the teachers' rule and regulation. He should complete each and every teacher's homework. After coming from school, he must put his bag properly on the chair or the table. After that, he must touch the feet. He must bow down to their parents, and after that they must not talk very loudly with their brother and sister or parents. They must always talk politely. And after doing this all the activities, you must help your parents in their work also. After that, you should complete your tuition work and homework of the school also. Late night you should study also, and you should wake up early in the morning also. So these are all the rules and regulations are there. I know how much you are following, so I can't consider you all as an ideal student. Yeah, some of the students are there, I'm not talking about the all. Out of 1 lakh, one student is ideal student. If I talk about the whole world, there will be more than 1 crore ideal student, okay, in whole world, okay, not see, these ideal students only become something, either Swami Vivekananda, APJ Abdul Kalam, Ramanujan. I have talked about the Indian. If I talk about the foreigner, just like Bill Gates, if I talk about Mark Zuckerberg, they have also done something for it. So today they are ideal for others. Yeah, I want to become like a Mark Zuckerberg. I want to become like a Ratan Tata. He is a very great means he is a good person in India. Whenever any critical condition comes, he always help to the government of India. So just like that, we make them ideal, right? Since none of the person are ideal, but we consider them that they are ideal. Similarly, none of the gas are ideal, but we consider that it is a good gas, it can be an ideal. After getting all this information, now we'll come to the point. Coal. What is coal? Have you seen the black color? Have you heard also, or have you seen the coal? It is hard as stone, as it is black in color. Coal is one of the fuel which is used to cook food. Earlier it was used in the railway engines to produce steam to run the engine. It is also used in the thermal power plants to produce electricity. Coal is also used as a fuel in various industries. So first of all, coal is a hard solid substance. It was earlier used in the fuel, especially to cook food. After that, you may have heard about it was being used in the engine, vacuum vapor engines. By that, the steam, this all the coal were being put into the railway engines. Then the steam was produced, and then the railway were running. After that, you may have heard about the power plants, electricity plants. There also coal were being used. But before understanding the coal, we must know the story of the coal. What is the concept of coal? From where this coal comes from? If I talk about this story, then listen to this story. It is about 300 million years ago. How many? 300 million years ago. Million means 10 lakh. So 300 into 10 lakh. 3000 lakh years ago. You can just suppose what would have happened in this 3000 lakh years ago. The earth had dense forests in low-lying wetland areas. Due to the natural process like flooding, these forests got buried under the soil. As more soil deposited over them, they were compressed. The temperature also rose as they sank deeper and deeper under the high pressure and high temperature. Dead plants got slowly converted to coal. As the coal contains mainly carbon, the slow process of conversion of dead vegetation into the coal is called carbonization. Since it was formed from the remains of the vegetation, coal is also called fossil fuels. When the coal mine was heated in the air, coal burns and produces mainly carbon dioxide gas. Coal is processed in industry to get some useful products such as coke, coal tar and coal gas. So how was the story? Have you heard the story? Means 300 million years ago. See, always now also natural phenomenon comes, but the natural disaster management, NGM. A great person. You may have seen a program on natural disaster management. Once they have come on the Super Dancer in some of the Sony channels episodes, they have come. Natural disaster management. How to manage the natural disasters. Nowadays everything is different, but in the earlier days, flood, earthquake, drought, tsunami, these all were natural calamities. Because of these natural calamities, in the olden days, the trees were falling down. As just suppose about the flood. In 1987, once you can ask your parents about the 1987 flood. Especially in the North India, there was a great flood in 1987. And as this flood came, the flood has washed many of the village. They have taken all the plants, all the animals, as they had gone deeper and deeper and deeper in the layers. As because of the high temperature and pressure, the dead plants and animals had buried and converted into the coal materials, and they are still in the deeper part of the soil. So now slowly, as in the coal mines, these all the coals, as it was dipped inside the soil because of the flood, as it has gone deeper, the temperature and pressure of the soil and earth has converted these dead parts of the plants and animals, and they have been converted into the coal. So this was the story of the coal. In the next video, I will describe you the more concept about the coal, the types of coal, coke, coal tar and many more. That's all for today. I hope all of you understand the coal, the story of the coal and what are the characteristics of a good fuel. That's all for today. Thank you very much. Don't forget to like and subscribe my channel. Share this video with your friends so they can be also benefited. That's all for today. Thank you very much.